Hello and welcome. My name is Rashim Mogha and I am your host for this Empowered Women of the World podcast. This podcast is for you. It is for me and it is for all women who want to take charge of their career and happiness. In this podcast, we'll talk about technology, we will talk about leadership, and we will talk about mindfulness. We will talk about how you can discover, visualize and actualize your success, whatever that means to you. We will also talk about our common opponent, the conscious and unconscious bias, which we deal with on daily basis. And we'll share ways to navigate work politics. At the end of each podcast, I will share with you a free tip or a resource that you can use to be successful. It's going to be a fun ride, so hop on and join me on this journey every week. A very happy new year to you. January is usually a month when most of us focus on how we want the new year to unfold for us. What changes can we make to be a better version of ourselves, and how can we design our life such that we are happy? Now, we all live an overwhelming, overscheduled life where personal and professional responsibilities pull us in different directions. Days just pass by and we realize that we are not happy. And probably that's why there's actually a course on designing your life at Stanford University, and it's one of the most popular courses, and there's a book on it too. So what does designing for life entail? Now, per the book, Designing Your Life, it's essentially a 4-step process. Reset your mindsets, reframe your problems, prototype and ask for help if needed. And since designing your life is a vast topic, we'll cover the first 2 steps today, which is resetting your mindsets and reframing our problems. Now let's talk about some of the common misconceptions or mindsets about life. Misconception 1. When you get promoted or have a certain amount of sum of money, you would be happy. Now, I had this mindset myself. When I was 19, all I wanted to do was to be a manager and have a large team to manage. I thought that I would be happy when I achieved that. But the reality was that when I achieved it, I was miserable. I worked 18 to 20 hours each day and was emotionally drained. I thought there was something wrong with me. While others thought I was successful and an overachiever and getting all these awards, I was actually unhappy. I could not think beyond work or hold any conversation outside of work. Misconception 2. You have to build a career in the field that you studied for in college. Now, data shows that in the United States, only 27% of the graduates pursue a career for which they studied. So don't think that there's something wrong with you if you want to do something different than what you studied for or work towards. Don't think what people would say or think. And know that it's never too late to do what you're passionate about. Which brings us to our next misconception. Misconception 3. You should know what you're passionate about. The reality is that you probably don't. Actually, most people don't. Designing life is an iterative process. You have to prototype and see what works for you at any given point in time. There will be different things that you will be passionate about at different stages in your life. So be okay with that. Misconception 4. A successful life is always smooth without any hardships. Everyone's life has hardships. That's the bottom line. There are high points and there are low points. The goal is to maintain a positive outlook, be optimistic, and know that you learn from every failure and hardship and you come out stronger. A well-designed life is an amazing album of unique experiences, adventures, learning, achievements, and resilience. So we need to reset our mindset about these misconceptions. And now that we know about these misconceptions and the truth behind them, let's talk about step 2, which is reframing our problems. Now, before we solve a problem, we need to know what the problem is. We all have problems, sometimes at work, at other times at home, and at other times both at work and home. We get used to living with these problems because solving them can be draining. Now, identifying which problems need to be solved versus which problems are worth living with is important, because working on solving wrong problems will always cause frustration. Now, if you've read my book, you know that I wanted to be a doctor and was depressed for months when I couldn't make it to med school. And now I don't want to go to med school because it will take 10 years of my middle-aged life. But if I keep worrying about it and be unhappy about it, there's no point in that, because it's an unsolvable problem. It's not actionable. But can I reframe this problem? Probably yes. I can dive deep to understand why I wanted to be a doctor, probably because I wanted to help sick people and make them feel better, and see if there's any way I can still do it. For example, by volunteering at hospitals. I might realize after all that I don't enjoy it, and then the so-called problem I had was actually a pseudo problem. Or I might just love it and find happiness in it, in which case I reframed the problem and found a solution to it. So I leave you with this one thought today. Finding the problem is more important than solving it. And today's free resource for you is a link to a video on harnessing the power of positivity. The link is in the show notes below, so check it out and let me know if you find it useful. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for loving, liking, supporting, and sharing the podcast. Remember, sharing is caring. I love your feedback, emails, and messages, so please keep them coming. Our audience is growing exponentially each week, and we have lots of requests for new topics, which is awesome. I look forward to seeing you again in our next podcast. Till then, keep empowering the world.